Hi, thanks for joining me. Today I want to share with you something very special to me. This is a project that I got to work on recently. It was very therapeutic and just something that I've wanted to do for such a long time. It's really a dream come true, I guess pun intended. So let's take a look, and at the end of this I'm going to just give you guys my impressions of this and sort of how this has been for me so far. So please enjoy. So, welcome. We're in my living room right now, and you guys have seen this before. But this is my Dreamcade. And it's not, it's not just for the Dreamcast. This is intended to be a console arcade. I don't know that I'm going to keep it in here, but this is where it is for now. You can see here that I styled it kind of on the Dreamcast, but with my own take on it. Here we have some side art for Project Justice. I added some characters in there. Cannon Spike, got some little characters there. And the little image here, you've got Cammy and some of the other characters from that. Gunbird, I couldn't really get a good Gunbird 2 logo. I guess this is Mary in here with her feet sticking out, and that's another shot of her there. And we've got Soul Calibur, there's Taki, Cervantes, Ivy, and Nightmare. So, I had these all printed out at this place. Not, and unfortunately, some of the edges seem like they're peeling up ever so slightly now and then, so I kind of have to make sure that they stay on there. But this was, I think, Game On Graphics, and they were pretty awesome. I just sent them the files, and I mean, it was probably a little over a week later, I got these in the mail. Here we've got some nice T-molding. I got this from, I forget what it was, just like tmolding.com or something like that. Honestly, based on the specs that they had, I think I did the routing too wide, so this actually didn't really fit in there. So I worked on this with my stepdad. He's got a lot of tools and was just a really great sport. But I don't know if you can see, there's almost this rubber cementy kind of glue that we used on here. It's really strong, it seems like, once it gets on there, and that seems to work great. Some plexiglass here that we had to have cut at the hardware store. And yeah, I love this. I put these little Dreamcast logos on here. We've got the control panel here. I kind of patterned this after a Dreamcast controller. This is a regular X-Arcade dual stick, and here I've swapped out the buttons just to kind of have the Dreamcast colors, and I've got some nice sticks here. These aren't super expensive ones, but they're nice, and I had to buy 1, 2, 3, I guess just 4 of them, but still, it was, I really wanted to have the ball type, because I really like holding it like this. I didn't really want the bat type, which is what comes on the X-Arcade, and I love the color. I got the ones that don't have a seam on it. They were kind of a little extra to get them nice and smooth. So the main trick with this is, what I have here is just some pass-through connectors. So we've got the power set up here, and this is kind of directly wired to the light and the power strip in the back, so it's going to turn all that stuff on. So I'll go ahead and flick that on. You can see that the light is now on, looking very bright and nice. And yeah, so basically what happens is this connector here goes to the X-Arcade stick. Then you have the audio, kind of left and right regular audio. You've got the video here for composite, and then you have S-video there. And basically those just go directly to the the videos go directly to the television. The audios go directly to speakers, a little pair of powered speakers that I disassembled and put in here. You can see where I cut out some little holes to accommodate those. They can only sort of go halfway out of here just by the way that we ended up building this. But yeah, so I can plug in whatever I want, which is awesome. So right now you can see I've got this running over here to all my game systems. Now, I mean, I can only plug ones in that have X-Arcade adapters to work with the X-Arcade stick. The cool thing is, though, is that I can still plug a regular controller into the system and just plug the video out to here. So I mean, I'd have to stand here and use a controller, but I could still play my PCFX, for instance, here on the CRT, kind of standing up at my arcade system. So this is going to be my primary way of using a CRT monitor, and the other arcade cabinet that I built hasn't arrived yet. It's just like I'm ordering it from my stepdad or something. I don't really have a good spot for it, and we haven't kind of just figured out where I'm going to put that. So he's holding on to that for me, which is very nice of him. But yeah, so this is amazing so far. Let me just go ahead and pop something in here, and I'll talk about it just a little bit. So the first thing you may notice is, because of this television, I need to use a remote control to turn it on, which is really not that big a deal. Let's go ahead and fire that on. Yeah, so here it is. I guess one of my first complaints is somehow I measured the spot, kind of the hole for the bezel here for the monitor, incorrectly. So there's too much space here. You used to be able to see that Panasonic logo, so I've put some black construction paper there. I can still see like a little serial number up there, model number, which is pretty annoying. But yeah, I've been having so much fun with this. It's a tough thing because the amount of time and money and just effort that went into putting this together. You know, most projects are more of those things than you would figure. And this was no exception. I had a pretty good idea of how much I thought this would cost, and it did cost that much, but it was kind of a deal, and it wasn't. It was a deal because you know, I decided to make this, you know, myself with my stepdad, and you know, so the use of all his tools and, you know, even some of the things that went into this were you know, free, aside from the time, and yeah, you know, that was awesome. I didn't have to order like something that was, you know, a kit to put together or something like that, and I got to do this exactly the way that I wanted to. You know, I designed the marquee. You know, let's just pop something on here so you guys can. You know, I got to basically do all that stuff, design the control panel and everything. So I had a lot of control, and I got to do a lot of the actual, you know, cutting and you know, all that stuff. So so you know, this was just a really neat thing to be able to have brought this from conception to you know, a real arcade that I can play here. One thing I have to say is it is amazing with these arcade collections. I'm playing this here on the PS2. This is just, you know, perfect. And let's kind of do this up here. But yeah, you know, so don't. When I finished these, like, I went through some different phases, you know, because it was like, wow, I put all this effort into this, and was this really worth it? You know, it's like all the money, all the time, all the everything. Working on it, though, was fun in and of itself, and you know, once I kind of got over almost this post construction depression here, you know, there were some little negatives. You know, nothing is perfect, and what I found is that, you know, not everything works exactly the way that I'd like it to. There are some games that just don't have controls that are well suited to the arcade experience, or, you know, maybe even this arcade you know, control panel in particular, and it's you know, I just can't really play those games, which is a bummer. I wanted to run like my Sega Genesis and my Super Nintendo into here, and I can, but I can't use it with the controller as well as I wanted. I have some adapters that will adapt them to PlayStation controllers, which there are X-Arcade adapters for. That's how I'm playing this right now, but there's lag, so, you know, that was kind of a bummer. You know, however, anything on PlayStation 2, anything on Dreamcast, you know, for the most part, I found is awesome. The best things are like Versus Fighters, arcade collections, and also light gun games have been really fun to play on here. You know, it's given my light gun games like a new lease on life, and I just love being able to play these. You know, because this is a stand-up machine, and it brings the TV to a level where it's really fun to play the light gun games on. And you know, even like games that maybe, you know, don't work with the controller. Like if I wanted to hook my Super Nintendo or my Genesis up to a CRT TV, I can do it here. I can game standing, and I can just hold, you know, the controller and play. That's really how I'm intending this, because this is you know, a horizontally oriented CRT, and I have a vertically oriented CRT in the other cab, and that one is one I also want to be able to plug into and play, you know, tate mode for my shoot 'em ups. So just, you know, I couldn't be more pleased with this. Like I said, there are definitely, you know, there's some idiosyncrasies, and it, you know, it's not gonna cure cancer. It's not gonna change the world. It's not gonna make me, you know, beautiful and young. But it is pretty damn awesome for playing video games, especially arcade games here. So so yeah, that is my Dreamcade. I'll probably do another video when I get my other arcade in, my other cab. And, you know, I still have some things to do to that, I think, just to really get it make sure that the boards are working really well. I think some of the caps need to be replaced, and all that jazz. I was having a little trouble with getting the switching to work too. It was working fine, and then it seemed like it wasn't. So yeah, I have a little more work to do on that, and I gotta find a spot for it. But I can't wait to talk a little bit more about that, and who knows, maybe I'll do some gameplay videos on here while I'm playing some of these games. So anyway, I hope that this has been enjoyable for you, and yeah, I don't know, let me know if you guys have built your own like MAME cabs or anything like that. Do you guys have an arcade at home? Is this something you're interested in doing? I got these plans. I paid for them from North Coast Custom Arcades. I went ahead and they're like, I don't know, 20 or 30 bucks, and I just bought their arcade plans because I needed a starting point. I just wanted something that I could go by, and this is very similar to that, but we did adjust the design because it just it seemed like it was. Some of the things were just a little weird, like they used a whole ton of L brackets or L braces that really weren't necessary, so we didn't use those, and we just kind of did our own design based on that. This, it does mean that where the control panel sits is kind of needlessly large because it was intended to have a shelf in there that slides out that has a keyboard in it, and all set up for a computer and that sort of thing. And it was nice, being able to skip all that. That introduces some of its own challenges. I think this is really about as simple as this gets with having the consoles just plug into here. That said, though, like I said, I probably worked with my stepdad for about 3 whole weeks on this over a period of about 2 months, and towards the end I was just like, wow, this I didn't expect this to kind of drag on and on like it was, and also it probably cost the initial materials to build this were like, okay, I got enough for 2 cabs, and that was all right. And then I had the stuff printed up, and that cost about as much as the initial materials. But then there's like all those little things that I don't want to say you don't think of, but it's amazing how they add up. I don't know if I can do it justice, but it's like we had to get these screws in particular. They're pan heads, so they don't screw up the what do you call it, the plexiglass here. I got new buttons, I got the new joysticks, I got all the T-molding, I got like home electrical switches, a little box for the switches. I got a USB adapter so that I can plug in the power for the speakers. I had to have some wire for the speakers, and we had to get a special drill bit, and some light fixtures for inside. Let me think. It's you get the idea. Like there's actually more than that even, and it just trip after trip to the hardware store. It's like $100 here and $100 there, and eventually you're just like, man, but worth it. Absolutely worth it. This is something I'm gonna play until I'm old and gray. Older and grayer than I am currently. So, anyway, that's enough about this. Thanks for joining me, guys, and I hope you'll join me again for more anime and video game related videos. Thanks for watching.